Good afternoon, students. Welcome to Malhotra IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss two current topics. One was in today's the Hindu. I will discuss about that. That was about decrease in population of birds. And second, Asani tropical cyclone. We will talk about a tropical cyclone. Okay, the naming of tropical cyclone and some basic static. You can say what are the conditions required for static you can say tropical cyclone. Fine, chaliye. So in today's Hindu there is an article about decrease in population of the birds. Okay, so in depth we will analyze that article. We will discuss about the factual information first, then how the birds are useful in an ecosystem, the services these birds provides in an ecosystem, and the major threats to the birds. Fine. So first of all, we start with the basic factual information. What has come out of these studies of bird population? A Manchester University have published data about bird population. There is decrease in around, you can say, population of 48% of your 48% of total bird species. There is decline in population of 48% of total birds, 48% of the population of the total birds. Okay, there are around, these are around 5,245 species of birds are found whose population are decreasing out of total 10,994. Okay, means about 48% of total species of birds population is decreasing. Fine. Now there are around 13% of total species of birds which are under threatened category. What is threatened category? Threatened category is IUCN's conservation category. IUCN means International Union for Conservation of Nature. So in threatened category you will have vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered species. Okay, there are around, all over the world there are around 798 species of birds which are in vulnerable category, around 460 in endangered, and around 223 in critically endangered category. All these three categories define the threatened species. Any species coming under any of these three, vulnerable, endangered and critically endangered species, all are under threatened category. Threatened means they are threatened to get extinction. They can extinct in near future. Fine. So these are factual data from this article. Okay, now what is the importance of birds in an ecosystem? What is the importance of birds in an ecosystem? What is the main importance? Okay, first thing and foremost thing is birds are pollinators. One of the most important service of birds is pollination. All of you know about pollination. Pollination is nothing, it transfers the pollen grains or male gamete from one flower to another flower, which help the plants to do sexual reproduction. Fine, sexual reproduction में help करता है. They are, in many cases they are keystone species. Keystone species are the species which are very, very important in a food chain. In a food chain means if there is any change in population of keystone species, there is chance that the whole ecosystem will collapse. Getting my point? There are many species which are keystone species. Any change in population of those species can collapse the whole food chain, or you can say whole ecosystem. It can change the community structure of that ecosystem. Means it can change the fine. Tourism, you can say in aesthetic services. Tourism, bird watching, these are aesthetic services. हिंदी में बोले तो सौंदर्य शास्त्र कह लो, aesthetic studies. Okay, then you have very important is seed dispersal. Seed dispersal, very, very important. What is dispersers? They disperse the seeds of various plants, and on that dispersion your geographical distribution of plant species depends. Your geographical distribution of plant species depends on seed dispersion. Fine. And they can function as ecosystem engineers. What are ecosystem engineers? What are ecosystem engineers? These are the species, listen carefully, these are the species which change the topographical feature of a surface, which changes the topographical surface of features of a surface. For example, in grasslands, many species changes the topography of that or topography of that area. Change in topography means they, for example, they will form some kind of natural breezes. They can, for example, they can change the path of some streams, ecological engineers, which will help, which will define the, you can say, community structure in that area. Fine. Then scavengers. Scavengers, they can function as scavengers, vultures. Vultures help in cleaning the environment or decomposition. Help in cleaning the environment or decomposition. Fine. You can name n number of services provided, direct or indirect services provided by birds. Fine. Now, what are the main reasons for decrease in population of these birds? Why the population? What are the main factors behind the decrease in population of these birds? Fine. There are n number of factors. We will discuss 5 to 6 very, very important factors. 5 to 6 important factors. First is land use. Change in land use pattern, land use, or you can say habitat destruction. Habitat destruction. Land use or habitat destruction can be one of the factor or not. Land use change, habitat destruction. How? By cutting the forest. By cutting the forest, you are clearing their habitat or not? You are changing the habitat, physical environment of a bird or not? You will find pigeons, sparrows in your houses now. Why? Because their natural habitat had been cleared by human encroachment, by human settlements. That's why you will find these species in your houses. Otherwise, they would have been living in a forest or in their natural habitat. Fine. Second, this you can use differently these two regions. Then you have fragmentation of habitat. Fragmentation of habitat. Fragmentation means by human development, for example, construction of dams, for construction of your roads, construction of your new cities have led to fragmentation of natural ecosystems. उनको छोटे छोटे पैचेस में डिवाइड कर दिया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दिस वॉज अ कंप्लीट फॉरेस्ट. नाउ ड्यू टू रोड, ड्यू टू रेलवेज, ड्यू टू dams or canals, what has happened? The whole ecosystem is divided into small patches. That is fragmentation of habitat. That is fragmentation of habitat. Got it? Now, another factor, very important factor, which have led to the destruction of habitats and decrease in population of birds, very, very important, is your hunting and overexploitation. Hunting and overexploitation. Hunting for anything, sometimes for the food, meat, hunting and overexploitation in for some time for feathers, sometimes for other, you can say, useful items which can be used by humans. Overexploitation of bird species. Another very, very important is invasive species. This is nowadays very hot topic. Invasive species or alien species. What are these species? Introduction of exotic or you can say exotic, as well as introduction of exotic species into, you can say, exotic species is nothing, introduction of a new species from another area. For example, eucalyptus have been introduced from Australia. For example, many, for example, water hyacinth, carrot grass are example of your invasive species. They have very, very less, you can say, they have competitive edge over native species. They have competitive edge over native species. Due to that, they affect the population of native species. In world, many of birds have been introduced to new habitats which are very, you can say, harmful to the native species of that area. They are very harmful for the native species of that area. Fine. And invasive species sometimes also brings, remember, they brings avian diseases, or you can say viral or bacterial diseases from one area to another area. That is also dangerous for, you can say, different native species of that area. Fine. Now, last, or you can say few more agriculture practices. Like, you can say, use of pesticides, excess use of fertilizers have, you can say, contributed in decline of population of different bird species. Then you have climate change, because every species is adapted to a optimum level of temperature conditions. If temperature is rising, then their habitat, their surrounding will change, and it will affect the number or population of that species. Fine. Now, how we can change the thus decline in population? By conservation methods. For example, by changing from agriculture, from artificial, or you can say cultural input energy, to organic agriculture, in which we use minimum use of fertilizers and minimum use of pesticides. Fine. Another, you can say, for example, optimum use of sustainable use for food, by bringing legal frameworks, CITES, CMS, Convention on Migratory Species. These helps in conservation of these birds. Fine. There can be n number of methods by which we can, for example, afforestation, for example, mitigation of climate change, for example, adaptation method will help in decrease the or reverse the trend of decreasing population. Fine. So if we consider this data, India's, you can say 80% of Indian bird species, 80% of Indian bird species population is declining, and out of that 50% population is declining at a very high pace, very high pace. 860 species of Indian birds have been assessed in this data, and 80% population has been declining. There are many critically endangered species like Himalayan quail, Great Indian bustard, your Bengal falcon, sociable lapwing. There are many species which are under this critically endangered category. Fine. India's birds कहाँ decline हो रहे हैं? Where there is over exploitation, Fine. And main regions are same, which we have discussed at world level. The main region, fragmentation, like for example clearing grasslands for agriculture practices, clearing the forest for agriculture practices, habitat destruction, over exploitation. I will talk about this bird, Amur falcon. It is a migratory species which migrates from, you can say, Siberian plains, where it reproduces, to the northeastern India, then South Africa, and migrate back. Now due to over exploitation, especially in Nagaland state of India, the population of these was decreasing, these birds was decreasing. A short film of named Pangti. Pangti means line in Hindi, but it's a kind of Pangti, a short documentary which got National Award for Best Environmental Conservation Movie in 2018 or 19. So in this short film, they have shown that how a village in Nagaland, which used to kill thousands of Amur falcon for their traditional, you can say, celebration, change it from you can say from a destructive village to conservative village. Getting my point? Thousands of birds were killed during this Pangati event, and you can say those in that village, they have now changed. They are not killing these birds for that celebration. They are conserving these birds. Getting my point? They are conserving these birds. Lotha, this is Lotha village in Nagaland. Nagaland, which is now changed into a destructor to conservator or conservative village. Fine. Now second topic is about Asani. Asani is your tropical cyclone on the eastern coast of India. It will strike on Odisha coast. Okay. So few things I will discuss about this. First is your naming of the cyclones. How cyclones are named. And why naming of cyclones is important. In past, what used to happen, every year there were many cyclones, and to refer up these cyclones and to study about the destruction caused by these cyclones and to make framework policies, it was difficult. Okay, it was difficult because every cyclone, you call them cyclones, it was difficult to differentiate between them. It was difficult to differentiate between them. Okay, that's why in early 2000s you can say the trend of naming of the cyclones came. How these cyclones are named? These cyclones are named by 6 regional specialized centers. One regional specialized center is in Pune, India, where 13 countries of Indian Ocean, 13 countries of Indian Ocean, 13 countries of Indian Oceans, they came together and turn by turn they name the cyclones, they give the name, they submit the names of the cyclones, and turn by turn the name of cyclone on the basis of turn of first country, second country, the cyclones are named. Getting my point? And there are 13 countries and summation of 13 names from each country gives you 169 names. 169 names. Names should be ideal. They should not be like offensive to any religious or any community. Okay, and easy to, you can say, remember. For example, India has given the names like Gati, Tej, Marusa, Aag. Same for example, Pakistan, Gulab, Asna, Sahab, Afsan. So every country has submitted. Sri Lanka, this is Asani. This name was given by Sri Lanka, suggested by Sri Lanka. Okay, then there will be turn of another country, then turn of another country. Now this was about naming. Then the basic of cyclone, tropical cyclone. 5 conditions should be there for tropical cyclone to occur. 5 conditions. Okay, first is the temperature of the surface layer ocean water should be more than 26.5 degrees Celsius. Why? Because ocean is the source of moisture as well as heat energy for a tropical cyclone. There should be continuous supply of energy. Hot air rises up. Fine, but you will not find equatorial cyclones. Why? Because of this second point, presence of Coriolis force. At equator, Coriolis force is 0. Coriolis force is 0. Getting my point? आपको इक्वेटर पे कभी भी ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन्स नहीं मिलेंगे. Why? Because Coriolis force is 0. What is this Coriolis force? Everything, every moving object in northern hemisphere will seems to be diverting towards right, and in northern hemisphere it will seems to be diverting towards left. या तो left में जाएगा या right में जाएगा according to the hemisphere. Now this, due to this deflection, what happens? Due to this deflection, the air is spiral inward and upward in a tropical cyclone. Spiral inward and upward in a tropical cyclone, which is necessary for the formation of a tropical cyclone. The third point is, many of you will have idea about these 2 points. Third point is very, very important. Small variation in vertical speed of winds. For example, this is the height, or you can say vertical movement of your tropical cyclone. If there is variation in the wind speed, vertical wind speed, for example, here the speed is high, here the speed is low, then also your proper tropical cyclone will not form. The reason being, there will be differentiate, the continuous column, vertical column will not form if there is difference between the vertical speed of your wind. Getting my point? Then a pre-existing weak low pressure. Pre-existing weak low pressure means to start convergence, or you can say there should be already an equatorial low which will provide the base for your tropical cyclone. There should be equatorial, and equatorial westerlies provide this. Equatorial easterlies provide the weak easterlies. Equatorial easterlies provide the weak low which can be converted into a tropical cyclone. Fine. Then we have upper air divergence. This is very important. If something is going up, then to continue your loop, continuous rising of air, it should be an anticyclone in upper air, anticyclone in upper air, from where the air can, in upper air, where from where air can go out. That is very necessary. If there is no outlet, then there will be no intensification of your tropical cyclone. These 5 are very, very important. In India, they are called cyclones, hurricanes in Atlantic Ocean, USA, typhoons in Western Pacific. Western Pacific means आपका China, Japan, Willy Willy in Western Australia. Now you can see this. This is the structure of a tropical, anatomy of a tropical cyclone. This is the region where wind will move upward spirally. Can you see? This is known as eye wall of tropical cyclone. The wind will be moving upward, and can you see at upper air circulation the wind is diverging. There will be a eye of tropical cyclone which will be of 35 kilometer radius. कितने किलोमीटर रेडियस की होगी? 35 kilometer diameter, you can say, not radius, diameter. This will be the calm center of your tropical cyclone. The temperature will be maximum. In this, the wind will be descending. In the center of the eye, winds will be descending. So you will not get rainfall in the center of the eye. You will get maximum rainfall around the eye wall. You will get the maximum rainfall around the eye wall. Fine. This is, for example, west easterlies, equatorial easterlies, which provide the basis for your tropical cyclone to form. For example, if there is a weak equatorial low, the convergence will be there. There will be movement, upward movement of air, and due to Coriolis force, this movement, and due to continuous supply by hot and moist wind. Hot and moist wind continuously move upward. When hot and moist wind is moving upward, continuously it will expand and cool down, due to which condensation will be taking place, and due to condensation there will be supply of heat energy, and this heat energy will move the air more faster upward, and this will leads to the more cooling of the air. More cooling means more condensation heat, means with more speed the air will move upward and will cause heavy rainfall around your eye of the wall. It will cause heavy rainfall around your eye of the wall where the wind is moving upward. Direction of the, usually normal direction in tropics I am saying is from east to west. But if somehow the cyclones moves in range of westerlies, their direction can change. Another important thing about tropical cyclone is they will be originating only on the surface of the water, or you can say ocean पे ही originate करेंगे. Getting my point? They will be originated on the surface of the ocean. Fine. And one important thing is you will find more tropical cyclone in Bay of Bengal as compared to Arabian Ocean. There are 2-3 main regions. One is supply of continuous water from fresh rivers. So there is a layer of different water in Bay of Bengal. Second, high temperature. Fine. And third is the residual, most important region, the residual cyclones from Pacific. Residual cyclones from Pacific means some of the cyclones of Western Pacific enters into Bay of Bengal again they will be supplied with energy, supplied with moisture and heat, so they will again intensify and they will form a new tropical cyclone on the eastern coast of India. Fine. So by this I am concluding my today's lecture. Thank you. Fine. Tomorrow Snigdha ma'am will take your IR current affairs.